Yes, telling like it is. Division previews. Little Sam Spence there, little NFL music. Dave Scholler here, Viking Apparel. For the football season here on August 11th. Gordon's 24th birthday. He was at work, so he's getting home from work in a little while. 24th birthday goes quick. So the way we do our divisional previews every year and here on Telling Like It is I ask about 20 former players and friends that follow football to give me their least effective division in the NFL for the year to the best. And the NFC South 2 years in a row has come up with that distinction, unfortunately for them. Although I do think the NFC South has some things looking upward a little bit this year. The only reason we have them lower than the AFC South is I think the Jaguars have the chance to be better than any one of these four teams, and that's what separates it. Although I do think that this division will not have the worst team out of those two divisions. We're going to take that top end first with the Jaguars and put them slightly ahead. So there's a little sneak preview as to which division we're doing next here on Telling It Like It Is. We also, when we do the strength of schedule, there's several different methods you could use. I don't like the method of using the records of the teams that you're playing from last year. That's foolish. That's this year. There's a lot of personnel that changes hands. There's a lot of quarterbacks and movement. Then you got backup quarterbacks and movement. Schedules are totally different. So what we do is we use the Pro Football Network, which considers dates, travel, times, how much rest. So in other words, you're playing on a Sunday night and you got to go across country for a Sunday day game. That's obviously stressful on a team, as statistics have shown over the years that it's difficult to travel across country and be as effective. It can be done, but it has been shown to be difficult. Rosie in the booth, we can hear her jingling. But as we know, travel and play and different times and records of the teams is important. And we know that the important is important, but we still have to consider it. So we don't want to go by last year's records. We want to include many different things. And as a coach myself, I know that when you play somebody and under what circumstances definitely influences the results of such things. So that being said, let's take a look here. The Panthers have the 27th rated schedule out of 32. So that's really easy. The whole division is really easy. The Falcons have the 31st rated schedule. The Buccaneers have the 20th. And the Saints have the easiest schedule in the NFL, 32. That's pretty sick. So looking forward here, Viking shades too, by the way. Yeah, so the Vikes did not play well in the second half on defense last night. Our third string defense looked like a sieve. After we gave away so much talent this year in the offseason on defense, I think we'll have a better scheme, but I'm nervous about the talent and too many rookies on the defensive end of the floor. So when let's start with the Panthers here. First of all, I'm a big schedule guy. I've always been a huge schedule guy, and that's a part of the over-unders that we talked about last week. But the crossover division in the conference for the NFC South is the NFC North. So I'm grateful that my Vikes get to play all these teams. And then out of conference, the one benefit for the NFC South is they do play the AFC South. Those will literally be 8 toilet bowl games. Actually, 8 toilet bowl games between the AFC South and the NFC South. We'll call them a toilet bowl because they should be flushed, and I'm sure that nobody's really doing heavy ratings on those games, but we'll see. The funny thing is some of the schedules, the Panthers schedule, for example, they open up with 2 division opponents in a row. You don't see that too often. That can be rough. One at home, one away. We'll talk about that another time when it comes up on a weekly show. But the Panthers, they traded up with the Bears and took a running back, Robinson, which actually, no, that not the Panthers I'm talking about. They traded up with the Bears, and they took our great quarterback from Alabama, Young. And you see that that's something that obviously he's getting good reports out of Frank Reich. Frank Reich does communicate with some of the radio personalities here in New York. And it's been said that he's been doing pretty well so far. But then again, you're not going to hear any negatives probably right now. You are going to hear, probably mostly good things. So they got the number 1 pick and they took Young, which I like Young a lot. They did put some good weapons around him. They got Sanders at running back and they got Adam Thielen. And they do have the 11th ranked offensive line. So if you put some good weapons around him, plus you're going to have Frank, who's a former quarterback himself, who understands the difficulties of position. I think that the kid is in a great position. The critics will tell you that he's too small. Like I said, their first week they have the Falcons, and then they have the Saints, I believe, the following week. So they're going to be into the thick of their division schedule right away, and we'll see how that goes. I think that they're going to be better. They got Andy Dalton as a good backup. Like I said, they got that 2 important games early. They should be able to run the ball well, which will definitely take a lot of pressure off of Young. Hope that little play action game, if Frank is into that. Like I said, 27-3 to schedule, so that's not too bad. And like I said, they do get to play 4 games versus the Nfc South, so that will benefit this team as well. I don't think the Panthers will be at the top of the division, although I always root for the Panthers, being working at Winthrop. First 2 years the Panthers were in league history. We shared offices with them at Winthrop basketball with the Carolina Panthers, and Dom Capers and his staff were in the same hallways we were. We got to know each other, got to become pretty friendly. It was a great opportunity to get to meet all these pro football players and watch their practices for free, and it was great. Carolina Panther Stadium had not been built yet. The games are Clemson. My landlord was a Clemson alum, still is a Clemson alum, and we used to go to the games. It was a great time to experience that. Let's get to the Bucs. Bucs with the best wide receiver core. All right, you have Evans, you have Godwin. Right, obviously you got some good play. You got some decent players on defense. The Bucs have the hardest schedule of the 4 teams, so that's going to be interesting. Like I said, the rest of the teams have a lot worse schedule than they do. The defense has been okay. You got Winfield, you got David, you got Barrett. So I think there's some veterans there, and I think the Bucs and the Saints will compete for the top of this division. Who knows? Like I said, defense has enough there. We'll see if if they can get something out of this situation here where you got Baker Mayfield running around. I think that's key. If Baker doesn't pan out, you got Trask backing him up. We'll see. This is Baker's. It's going to be Baker's last stand, and the unsettledness of Baker's nature is going to probably drive these wide receivers crazy after playing with someone as headstrong and as organized as Tom Brady. So we'll see. I'm a fan of Baker because he'll try to make something out of nothing, but that can get you in trouble from time to time. But he does have a good jump ball guy with Evans and a good deep ball guy with Godwin. So, I think it can be done. I think, having that division that they're in, I think is very helpful. I think the Bucs will probably finish second in this division if I had to bet. And I think that they'll obviously challenge for the division. Of course, all these predictions that we talk about are, basically have to consider, and we can't predict the nature of injuries and things of that nature. When we go to the Falcons, I don't think the Falcons have enough for it yet. Ritter is obviously a quarterback. They got the 31st easiest schedule, so that's obviously going to be something that we can focus on. Defense has been really bad. They have signed some veterans, but that's not going to do it for you. They did draft Robinson really high, a running back, which everybody always speaks out against. But to run the ball, you got Pitts at tight end, you got Cordarrelle Patterson behind Robertson. So I think they can run the ball, maybe take some pressure off of Ritter himself. Like I said, bringing in old vets defense can be good, but it's just a stopgap. I don't think they're as talented on either side of the ball as the Saints or the Bucs. Even though the Saints and the Bucs have some guys getting long in the tooth, I still have some faith in those 2 teams more than I do the Falcons. I think the Falcons will probably be 4th or 3rd in this division. A lot of the people out there say the Panthers are going to be 4th and definitely be last. I think the Panthers have a chance to be decent and maybe be a decent 3rd place finish in this division, but who knows? We're all just guessing here, basically, making educated guesses. Then we get to the Saints. I think the Saints are the best team in the division, although Derek Carr, I think, is a little bit overrated. I'm glad the Jets here in New York, even though I'm not a Jet fan, I'm glad they picked up Rodgers instead. I think that's a positive because Carr is just more of the same. I believe I know he's better than, the kid we had at quarterback last year here in New York playing for the Jets, but I'm just saying, better than Wilson, obviously, but Carr has been good. The offensive line for the Saints is a little bit of a concern. They do have some good running backs, though. You still got Kamara there. It's obviously he's unquestionable there. He's been suspended, so we don't know about that. We got if Michael Thomas is still Michael Thomas. We got Williams as a backup running back. You got to see what you have there. Hopefully, Carr will bring some stability to Allen. I think the defense last year for the Saints, did do some decent things. They do have Cam Jordan still. They got Demario Davis. They got May. They got Matthew. All right. They got some good players on defense. They got Lattimore. So I think the Saints, with a little bit of experience, like I said, are getting a little bit long in the tooth right there on the defensive end of the floor, defensive end of the field, I should say. But again, 32nd easiest schedule in the NFL, which means they are the easiest schedule. 32nd hardest schedule in the NFL, which means they are the easiest schedule. So right there, you have, I believe the Saints will be a product of that. I think that the Saints and the Bucs are probably the top two in the division. I would say Panthers third and Falcons four. Again, that can change with injuries, but if Kamara is healthy and can come back, and Michael Thomas is Michael Thomas, I think Kamara's, excuse me, thank you, some good weapons. I feel like the Saints will find a way. Saints also had some really tough losses last year. Late, I know they had a double doink versus the Vikings in England. They had a great comeback, and they had a chance to win that game. But here on Telling It Like It Is, we're doing the AFC South next time. But for today, NFC South, those are our little predictions there. Again, Telling It Like It is on Spotify. All right. It's on iHeartRadio. It's on Twitter. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. Give us a shout. Love to have you on. Love to hear what you think. Love to hear from you.